How you doing? Part 2 of the 2016 Chevy Sonic LTZ Turbo water pump replacement thermostat. So do a little inventory of parts here that we've taken off. We'll start off with the air box. Obviously the cover of the valve, the spark plug cover. You've got the tube going down into the top of the turbo. You've got our fan belt. As you've seen in the previous video, there's the engine mount going into the block. Then, respectively to the right, the passenger side, you have the motor mount that attaches to the body, the frame. Obviously our pulley from our water pump and our water pump itself. So obviously this pulley goes right on here as such. When we pulled this off, this is the factory GM. You can see some signs of not having the best coolant. Has some calcification going on. What I did notice, the factory gasket is a metal aluminum gasket, which actually will seal better and handle the heat better. Here's our thermostat body, thermostat housing with thermostat. This is the side of the engine block, as I referenced earlier. Really looks like a motorcycle. You can see the V of the connecting rods going up to the piston side, just on the outside here, if you can imagine that. So this is where the water pump does sit. As you can see, there's a lot of residual gasket sealant left. This is where I introduced this tool. I've actually been using these plastic razor blades for a long time. Really helpful. You will not gouge your metal while you're scraping. You will buff the metal. You will see some scratching, but it's not enough to impregnate the metal with a groove. The nice thing about this is we don't want it leaks. Any grooves in the aluminum, which is very soft, is going to allow for a potential future leak. Now I do have my rotor zip, my air tool fired up, tooled up, ready to buff this down. Many of you may not have, but this is a central pneumatic. I've actually had this thing for years. Micro grinder. This thing actually 90 psi, right? It works, and I feed it with oil every now and then. I've had it for about 5 years, done a lot of projects. So what I'll be doing is using the brass wheel to gently take off anything that's stubborn. Now, knowing so, this brass will cut the aluminum, but we're going to do it very, very gently. And because it is round, you run the risk of making a groove. Obviously, because the rounded edge is going to be flat when it hits the metal on your buffing surface, right? See if we can zoom in here. So if I was to buff this and really put a lot of pressure here, I would groove. So what I have to do is I'm going to circular fan this real gently. I just want to knock this off. And in fact, I may not actually use it. I may switch to just a polishing cloth with some polishing compound. Again, this is aluminum. You can start to see little scratches in it just by, now obviously I'm kind of doing that to show a point, but we can buff those out with some polishing compound. We don't want to make any grooves outside of this race for that gasket to actually seal. As you can see, you don't have a lot of reveal here, so any lines going in and out are going to create problems in the future. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching. Still in part 2 is our replacement pump. As you can see, when I was watching a video online, the guy had a really good idea, and there are about 10 bolts in this thing, right? So aluminum needs to be even pressure, but you can see they're all different heights. So when I took it out of the existing or the old, I placed them in the new bolt by bolt, because I don't like to try to keep remembering which bolt went where. So what I probably will do is write a S or an L, small or large, because all the bolts seem to be about the same size, other than we got two sizes here, so that'll help us out. Anyways, word of the wise, don't just throw them in the bin. I do have the screw bin, but not in this case. Our water thermostat, coolant thermostat, is going to connect right on here as it did with the factory. This has its own gasket. Do not apply too much torque to putting the bolts on. You will need the bolts from the factory. And as I spoke earlier, the replacement gaskets, and I even did look at the Delco. It came with a paper gasket. So of course, when you're setting your gasket, high temp, RTV red, nothing but Permatex. All in all, the water pump is California price right now, $69. Thermostat housing, actually I take that back. Water pump was only $50. This thermostat housing was $70. Go figure. Let's see which part we're going to go first. Obviously this is the one that causes this one to go bad, usually. So we're going to do both. Again, thanks for watching.